Welcome back to the Literacy Teachers channel, where we're all about helping you to inspire, motivate, and change how your students read and write for academic success. Now, today I'm going to be sharing with you one way you can help struggling adolescent readers. It's a very simple way, and it doesn't involve changing really anything about your instruction or how you do anything, okay? And it's also going to be beneficial for anybody in your class, but it's really going to be helpful for those kids that are struggling readers. So my advice, the number one thing you can do is to make your language inclusive. So what do I mean by this? I mean, really, one of the most important things you can do is drop the term good reader. Now, if you're teaching middle and high school, you may not really use this term much. So it might be having a discussion about the term is what you want to do. But in elementary school, it is very popular, a very common thing for, teachers to be modeling particular skills and strategies and talk about, here's what good readers do. Good readers, if they don't understand a word, they stop, they might read context clues, they might look it up in a dictionary, they might ask a friend, right? They have a number of things. Here's what good readers do when they run into problems, here's how good readers use these strategies, etc. Now, that's all very well intentioned, but what your struggling readers have heard or are hearing is, oh, I'm not so good at doing that thing. I run into a word I don't know, and then I have an additional struggle trying to figure out what that word means. So they take these, when you say this is what a good reader does, what your struggling readers do is sort of use that as a yardstick. Oh, can I do that thing? No, I cannot do that thing. Therefore, I'm not a good reader, all right? So drop that term good reader. And instead of saying, here's what good readers do, you can talk about when we're reading, this is something that we can do that helps in this particular way. You can still use, that overall idea behind showing kids the benefit of using particular skills and strategies, but you don't have to have the good in front of it, right? It doesn't have to be part of your language. Now, you might say, hey, I don't use the term good reader, but I promise you your kids have had lots of experience with it, so you may just want to have a conversation about it with them. Now, discuss the definitions of being a certain type of reader. Labeling is prevalent, okay? And kids get labeled as types of readers both by, they get labeled by the school system, right? By teachers, by parents. They get labeled by other kids, and they label themselves, okay? And they have spent a lifetime of understanding and building and creating these definitions. So instead of saying, well, we're just going to pretend these definitions don't exist, have an open, honest conversation about those definitions, okay? What do you think it means to be a good reader? What do you think it means to be an average reader? What do you think it means to be a poor reader? Where did that come from? Have those discussions. But then show how those definitions limit us, okay? So if a kid is saying to you, I think, a poor reader is somebody who, I'm thinking about Nolan from a previous video, right? I think a poor reader is somebody who really takes their time when they're reading and really thinks about what they're reading. You can talk about how, hey, my definition is that's something a really great reader does. And so talk about how these definitions of what it means to be a certain type of reader really limit us, because at any particular moment in time, we're all on a continuum with a given piece of text, right? And depending on our background knowledge, we may have, maybe it might be easier to access that particular piece of text than another one, okay? Even within the same content area. So talk about how those definitions limit us, and talk about the benefit of just thinking about ourselves as readers and a community of readers rather than labeling one another and buying into these definitions.